Hello, I'm Chuck Full with South Alabama Home Inspections, and welcome to another edition of Southern Home Talk. I'm going to do a real short video on how to hire a contractor. Most everybody's going to have to do this at some point, and I've had to hire several myself over the years. And I've been seeing a lot of posts on Facebook about people getting burned with contractors, which is no surprise. And also many people asking who to hire for certain projects. And so I figured I would go ahead and make this a short video on, hopefully this will save you some money, but most of all, hope it also save you from getting burned. I mean, I don't know too many people that hasn't been burned at some point with contractors. And so I figured I would share my experience of what I've had to deal with over the years, and hopefully it'll be beneficial to you. I used to work for some of the local building supply companies back in the 80s. And so I sold directly to many of the contractors that were around back then. And so I do know how this process pretty much works as a result. And so what can happen is when you have contractors come out to bid a job, you're going to have some of them that's going to want money up front in order to, so they claim before they can start the project, or usually they'll say, well, we need it to get the materials. And I will tell you this, that I would not do that. And if they claim they need to get the materials, then what you could do is say, well, I tell you what, you go and you get the estimate for the materials, and I will go and personally pay the material bill or wherever it is that you're planning on getting these materials from. Now, they'll claim that, well, we can get a better discount than you can because of our contractor's discount. Well, you can get this same discount they can get. I can tell you that straight up, because he used to sell, materials back then. And if you came in with a quote for a project, I was going to give you the lowest quote I could possibly give you, depending on how big the project is, of course. So you can get these same discounts. But the main thing is that's where a lot of people lose their money, is by paying money up front and then simply just don't show back up. And another thing to look out for as well is that some of these people have local phone numbers where they've gone to the Dollar General and got a burner phone. And I remember when Hurricane Sally came through, there's tree people all over my neighborhood, and lo and behold, they had local phone numbers, but their tags were out of sight. And so that's what they were doing. And they may have been good contractors, but the thing of it is, I wouldn't pay any upfront money to any of them either. And that's with any kind of project. Don't pay any upfront money, and certainly don't pay cash. Always have some verifiable way of paying, preferably with a check or a credit card if they're willing to accept them. And to try to find contractors that's been in this area at least 3 years that you can verify as well, that they're licensed, they're bonded, and all those sort of things. And they're not going to be the cheapest ones, and that's something else you got to take in consideration. I've never went with the cheapest contractor. I've always gone with one I felt like could perform the work and do it to my satisfaction, and more importantly, do it right. And so that's just too many ways to get burned in this process, and it's even with doing due diligence, sometimes you can still get hammered. And so another thing too, if you're going out and getting bids, you're probably going to find them all over the place. When I had my roof bid, I had the bids taken on it back in 2017. I had 14 roofers come out, and so the bids went from anywhere from $8,800 to $24,000. That gives you some sort of idea of the spread that you can encounter with some of these projects. And another thing too is that if you have a good contractor, they usually don't mind if you go and pay it like in thirds. You can, let's tell you what, when you get out here and you start this project, get a little bit into it, I'll pay a third, and you could another third after you get so far through it, and then at the end you could pay the full thing. But the really important as well is that you have a contract too, and it's really important that you have a start time and an end time built into your contract, because if they give you a contract, you got to read that thing really careful. They can make a career out of your project and it'll never get finished. And so that's really important, that contracts are always written for the one that benefits. And so that's why you have to really be careful of that, is you have one as well. So that way they can't make a career out of your project, and they sure will do that. And another thing too is you're going to hear this slogan pretty often as well. Well, how much do you have budgeted for this? Well, just say I haven't figured a budget for this yet. I'm taking bids on the project right now, and because if you give them some sort of idea of how much you got budgeted for, well, I can guarantee you that's about what it's going to cost to do the project. So don't never give that information out, and always try to go with as many bids as you possibly can. I know the standard's 3, but like in my case, I went with 14 with the roofer issue. So, and also too, know this, that Lowe's and Home Depot also have contractors that work under them. They don't work for Home Depot, but I kind of sort of think that they may have vetted some of these out to some degree for them to be recommended by Home Depot and Lowe's. That they're probably going to be a little bit more expensive to use, but you may have some recourse by using going through Lowe's or Home Depot for some of these projects you may have. But just know that you can get the same discount that these contractors get they tell you if they need the money for the material. You can just simply go to wherever it is they're getting it and pay that. And in fact, if they're needing upfront money for materials, I'm always suspicious of that, because when I worked in the building trade, most contractors had contracts with us or accounts with us where they could pay that invoice at the end of the month. And so if they didn't have that, then they had to pay cash, and that tells you don't have good credit. So that's I don't find that as a good excuse. If every business should have enough working capital to at least start the project, and then you can pay them in thirds from there on out. So I hope this has been somewhat informative to you. I know there's a lot to learn about hiring contractors, whatever it may be. The biggest thing is to become familiar with whatever project that you're having to get completed at your place. Let's say it's the roof. Look at YouTube videos on how a roof should be done, so you have some general knowledge of whether or not they're doing it correctly. And also, it's accepted by the trade too in roofing to have 2 layers of shingles, but that's not good. And some insurance companies have a problem with that as well. So that's why I'm putting this out there, is become familiar with whatever it is that you're having them do, so you have at least some general base knowledge of whether or not they're doing this correctly. Well, anyway, I hope you'll take the time to look at the other videos on this channel. I got a longer one on this as well, which is very informative, but I want to create a short one to put up for the clients that have hired me to come and do their home inspections, and at least give them a little bit of heads up knowledge about what to look out for. I'm Chuck Phillips, South Alabama Home Inspections, and take care.